Hi guys, it's indeed my pleasure to welcome Craig. Craig is our esteemed speaker for GTR 2022. This is the seventh edition of this global testing retreat. Welcome, Craig. I would really love to. We know that you are a blogger and you've written a book, but I would really appreciate if you can talk a little bit about yourself and let the audience know about you.
Thanks, Aditya. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so my name's Craig Reesy. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa, and I really love software quality and software testing. I started out as a software developer in my career, but since then, jumped into testing and really found it to be a massive enjoyment for me. It's something that I'm really passionate about. And so for me, I really want to just see the continued growth of software quality and testing, obviously within my work that I'm doing within Cape Town, but then around the world as well. I feel like this, it's something that we don't spend enough time on. And I definitely want to try and continue to promote and grow those testing skills and see software quality really gaining more influence, I think, within the industry. And it's been encouraging to see conferences like this one where we are starting to see those skills getting highlighted. And so really appreciative of that and being able to share that with people.
Absolutely great. It is really awesome, first of all, that we have somebody like you joining the conference as a speaker, and that too also from a Cape Town, which I think a lot of Indians know because there's a lot of cricket being played out there. So
Exactly.
we keep on hearing
Yeah.
Cape Town a lot, and India keeps on playing a lot with South Africa. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah. I wish we would play better, but yes.
No, but I think you guys are, your team is really remarkable. It is probably number one, number two in the test. I think they've beaten India
Yeah.
Town and also England recently. So the new team is playing really nicely, as long as I
They
understood.
are. Yes.
Right, right. So on a different note, I think let's come back to your topic here. It's very interesting, by the way. You say that it is Tester's Guide to Unit Testing. Is it going to be an interactive session or a workshop?
It's going to be an interactive session. Definitely going to be some workshop elements to it, but I think it's going to be an interactive session. I think, what I want to talk about is firstly, I think why testers need to get involved in unit testing. So, I first want to start off by just introducing them to the topic of unit testing and why they really should get involved in unit testing. Because I feel like that's something where we're not spending enough time on as testers. I think typically it's one of those things where we leave the developers to do their unit testing, we jump in and do our testing without really sometimes even paying attention to that. And I think if we give it greater focus, I think it can really improve the unit testing overall and then have a further knock-on effect of quality and testing further down the line. And so I really think there's a lot of benefit to testers getting involved in there. And so I want to start off talking about that benefit and why testers should start thinking about unit testing a little
Absolutely.
differently.
Yeah.
And then from there, I will break down into a little bit more about what unit testing entails, what specifically to test, how to structure your unit tests, and then there will be a little bit of a workshop element as well, where we'll give them a little bit of some code to be able to work with and be able to understand the unit tests, and then be able to hopefully get sort of an introductory foundation into how to write the unit tests based on that foundation.
Great. I think this is one of the most left out areas in the testing arena. Unit testing is really, really important. And I don't want to basically ask you more questions and basically take out the zing out of that topic when we get you out in the conference. But I'm eager. I'm really, really excited to see this kind of a wonderful topic being part of the conference and a very important
Thanks.
one, right? So on a different note, Craig, with reference to the testing world out in South Africa, how exactly is the testing shaping in and around you in South Africa in general? So how do you see, like, there are not many testers out there now, and are they into basically manual testing or automation? What exactly do you see around you?
I think testing is definitely big. I think it's been big for a while, and I think continuing to grow. But I think it's traditionally come from more of a manual background. It was almost like, quite a lot of people that transitioned from business analysis into testing. Not so much people going the reverse, like from me, going from development into testing. We do see some testers then move on into development, and we see a lot of people stay in the testing space. And I think test automation's been growing, and I think there's definitely a lot of skills within the industry. But I think in South Africa, we've seen a big difference between the big corporates who have been doing software development for a long time, maybe stuck in some older ways of testing, no fault of their own, but they've kind of built these old systems and they've got a more traditional style of testing that they've followed, where maybe there is automation, but they've maybe separated a lot of manual testing and the automation. And then we've seen a lot of startups come in who are doing things very new, very fresh, building, really fast cloud-based microservices where they're thinking about testing differently, getting involved in things like unit testing, a lot more heavily, and then really trying to do what's kind of called that more shift-left approach. And so we've seen very different styles of testing where you got your more traditional test analysis, and then you get your very tech-heavy testing, and trying to see that sort of play out between two different types of organizations, between the big corporates and the startups that are trying to move along in a very agile fashion. But it's a really exciting space, and I think something which has only been growing. I think COVID itself, although it was a very bad time for a lot of people's lives, I think it's definitely changed the way we work in terms of this remote working. That's actually opened up South Africa a lot more, because now we're getting a lot more European business, because now the European organizations are now thinking, well, we still want to test, but they can now afford to maybe do a little bit more offshore. And I mean, I'm sure India's benefiting as well, but the benefit that South Africa offers is time zone.
Yeah.
We can be in the same time zone as you. And so we've definitely seen that uptick as well, where companies are looking for some testing resources, but they don't necessarily want to hire it full time, and they want to maybe invest that effort. South Africa's got the skills, and we're definitely developing the skills. And so we've seen a lot of
really happy to understand that this is the landscape, and the landscape is can you hear me? Do you see that?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I was very it is amazing to hear how the journey has been, basically changed, and how COVID has helped. And you're right, basically we see a lot of offshoring work happening in India as well now. So good. And overall, I think the overall software testing industry has grown tremendously, even in last 2 years. Even though COVID time was bad, but I've seen there's a tremendous growth there. Right. So looking forward for your presentation, and I would like to just add one or two more questions here if you have time. Can I ask?
Absolutely.
Okay. So asking that anything that you would like to talk about other than software testing and the software development per se?
Yes. So yeah, I have a lot of passions. I think one of them is designing board games. So I have my own board game website up called riskygames.com, where I've designed or published 11 board games now, where people can go and download them, and be able to play them for themselves. And so I try and do this whole sort of print to play thing, where people can take the different components and rules and add everything together. And it's a lot of fun. And so I really enjoy that. And then I also run a lot with my wife. So we do a lot of marathons and ultra marathons every single year. And so that's something which we really enjoy doing. And sometimes we go a little bit too far, and it can be very tiring, but really just enjoy it. And I enjoy being outdoors. We live in a beautiful city, we live in a beautiful country, a beautiful world. I mean, even just going to other countries and running marathons there. And to me, it's the best way to be able to explore another place, another city, another country, is to be able to go and run races there. So I really just enjoy being outdoors and taking in nature, and getting away from the computer screen. It's fun to be able to work and do something that you're passionate about, but then it's also good to get away from the screen and just enjoy nature and get outdoors.
Amazing. I think both the passions are really amazing, and I'm sure that a lot of us would be inspired by this small discussion that we just had. First of all, designing board game is a skill and art of its own, and then running marathon. I can't imagine running few kilometers or maybe 1 or 2 miles, but running basically 42 miles. Is it 42 kilometers or miles in a marathon?
It's 42 kilometers, 26 miles.
Wow, amazing! It's just I just can't imagine. It's beyond my imagination. Yeah. But good, very nice to connect with you, Craig. Thank you so much for being our speaker, and we are looking forward for your presentation in GTR. I'll be in touch with you in case if you need any help. We'll be there to help you out, and we'll let you know when is the schedule and how it would shape up. Okay.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Keep well.
Thank you so much, and namaste from our side.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.